Hey, and welcome to Synaptic Soul, the podcast where science meets spirit, and we get real about the beautiful and brutal and magical mess of being human. I'm your host, Ava Marie Anderson, writer, mystic, multi-dimensional mischief maker. Quick disclaimer, you may hear the occasional snort, sigh, dramatic flop from my two French bulldogs, Rocky and Rambo. They're the soundtracks of my life, my soul companions, and honestly, the real stars of the show. Someday we'll dedicate a full episode to their role in my daily rituals, emotional healing, and wild spiritual life. But for now, just know that they're always close by, snoring their support. Let's dive in. So before we dive into the meat of this episode, before we talk about energetic leaks and boundaries and the science of the field and all that juicy stuff, I need to tell you something real. I need to tell you something personal. Because none of this came easy to me. Like, none of this was obvious. And none of it was handed to me on a crystal platter. You see, I was raised in the South, and that's the land of the yes ma'am and the Sunday potlucks and women who smiled even though they were dying inside. I grew up under a deeply ingrained patriarchal system where men ruled the roost and women just made it comfortable. We were expected to be sweet and to be caretakers and to hold everything together with a smile and a casserole. You didn't rock the boat. You didn't say no. You didn't take up too much space, and you were barely supposed to exist outside of your usefulness to others. So, I became what I was taught to be. Pleasing and polished and perceptive. I learned to read the room before I even knew how to spell my own name. And I could feel tension like static in the air, and my instinct was always the same. It was either shrink or sweeten. So if the energy felt off, I got either small and invisible or overly nice trying to fix it. And I didn't ask myself if it was mine to fix. I just knew that I didn't feel safe unless the vibe was smooth. And that shit followed me into adulthood like a shadow that I just couldn't shake. I betrayed myself 1,000 tiny times in the name of being liked, or being palatable, or being chosen. I stayed quiet when I wanted to scream, and I gave when I was empty, and I smiled when I was burning inside. I bled energy into every room I entered and called it being helpful. But the body keeps the score, and the soul keeps track, and eventually it all cracked open. It's taken 45 years and more breakdowns than I can count, breakdowns, by the way, that became breakthroughs, to learn that boundaries aren't walls, they're actual lifelines. It took me so long to understand that autonomy isn't selfish, it's sacred, and that taking up space isn't a sin, it's an actual service. That I am actually a bad bitch, and not in the Instagram hashtag kind of way, but in the I know my own worth and I don't beg for peace. I choose myself daily kind of way. And let me be super clear about this. I haven't mastered any of it. That word doesn't even apply. We never fully master anything. We just meet it again and again at deeper and deeper levels. Every new layer of life brings a new invitation to practice and to return and to re-choose. And sometimes I nail it. Sometimes I still collapse. But now I know how to come home to myself faster. And I know when my field feels off. And I know what belongs to me and what doesn't. So when I talk about energetic sovereignty, I'm not preaching from a mountaintop of perfection. I'm speaking from the spiral, and from the scars, and from the sacred unraveling that just brought me here. And that, my love, is where we begin. All right, let's cut the bullshit and get right into the truth bomb. If you feel like shit all the time, like tired and foggy and anxious, maybe you're low-key pissed off for no reason or spiritually disconnected, or maybe it's like your intuition is scrambled, it's probably not burnout. It's probably energy leakage. And you're not alone. Most of us, especially the sensitive and the overachieving and the people-pleasing empaths with trauma resumes longer than an Amazon wish list, we are all walking around with energy fields that look like busted colanders. And we're leaking light like it's our job. And then we wonder why we can't hold a charge for longer than a TikTok scroll. But here's the deal. Energetic sovereignty isn't just a cute buzzword to toss into your spiritual girly aesthetic. It's a fucking survival skill, especially if you're waking up, like for real waking up. You're learning that there's a deeper game being played here on Earth. Because this planet runs on extraction. Your attention, your frequency, your life force, it's all on the menu unless you start getting choosy. Because you, my dear, are an electromagnetic miracle of vibrating particles and swirling fields and encoded information. So you're not just vibing, you are broadcasting and receiving data constantly. And energy is your currency, literal and spiritual, and it's getting spent or stolen or hoarded or siphoned or misplaced each and every single day. And most of us weren't taught to notice this, like let alone protect it. But let's take a step back and nerd out on this for just a hot second, because this is not just woo. It is some physics in there too. Your nervous system is a walking, buzzing bioelectrical grid, and your heart kicks out a magnetic field that you can measure from real-life instruments several feet away. Your brain hums with rhythmic electrical activity, hello, brain waves, and your cells are in a constant electrochemical chatter. They respond to your thoughts and your feelings and literally every daggum thing around you. You are a frequency machine. But, where's the manual? Who is teaching us how to run this thing? And that's the kicker. No one. And so you end up absorbing your mom's anxiety or your ex's projections or your boss's unprocessed rage, and then the entire energy signature of Instagram all before breakfast. And that chronic fatigue might not even be yours. That low-level shame could be just inherited. The urge to put everyone else's needs before your own might just be a glitch in the patriarchal mainframe and not a moral failing. See, we've been taught to merge and to fix and to please and to shrink. And we've been energetically trained to be fucking sponges. And sovereignty begins when you actually realize, wait a second, not everything that I feel is mine. But let that land for a second. Not all your thoughts are yours. Not all your emotions are yours. Not all of the chaos swirling in your field actually even belongs to you. But yet, here you are, carrying it like it is your spiritual birthright. And newsflash, it's not. It's time to sort through the junk drawer of your energetic field and start sending some of that shit back to sender. Lovingly, but firmly. So, here's where we go deep. Because your nervous system, bless its confused little heart, wires itself around survival. As babies, we attune to our caregivers to stay alive. So if mom's anxious, we're anxious. If dad's explosive, we go silent. If chaos means connection, then we wire for chaos. This is somatic programming. It's not a personality flaw. But it does set up adult lives for, not being able to hold our own energy because we never even learned that we're allowed to. But it gets juicier. Your energy field isn't just soaking shit in, it's also broadcasting constantly. Your thoughts and your beliefs and your trauma patterns and your intentions, they're all shaping the frequency, and your body is pulsing it all out into the universe. And the universe, being the ultimate, the complete and ultimate mirror ball bitch, reflects that frequency right back to you. And so if your signal is jammed with static from like old wounds or other people's crap or unprocessed grief of maybe 5 generations of ancestors, then your reality is going to echo that. And it's not because you're being punished, but it's because energy meets resonance. It's not karma, it's physics. And just so we're clear, energy leaks aren't always caused by obvious drama like a toxic relationship or a soul-sucking job. They come from your daily habits too, like doom scrolling until your eyeballs twitch, or over-giving like it's a religion, or skipping meals because capitalism told you that your body is inconvenient. Or maybe it's just saying yes when your gut means no. Or maybe it's just pretending that everything's fine when you're emotionally bleeding out. So every micro self-abandonment adds up. Every little betrayal of your inner truth slices another hole into your field. And then eventually, you start feeling like you're a deflated balloon. But let's just talk coherence, because this is where the whole heart magic science gets like just super hot. I absolutely love it. So the Heart Math Institute has shown that when we're in a regulated emotional state, like, I don't know, gratitude or compassion or joy, our heart and our brain sync up. And then that alignment strengthens our electromagnetic field. And that field doesn't just keep our system functioning, like it influences the energy around us. And it's measurable and repeatable. But most of us are running around in emotional incoherence, so stressed and distracted, or resentful, or caffeinated and disconnected. Like we're pinging out chaos and wondering why our manifestations are misfiring. And let's not forget the ancestral layer, because your energy field isn't just yours. It's carrying echoes. So studies in epigenetics show that trauma can impact gene expression across generations. So that survival pattern that you keep playing out, that might have started centuries before you were even born. Like you are the living continuation of stories that began long before your name was ever spoken. And part of that energetic sovereignty is deciding which of these stories that you're still willing to carry, and then which ones you're ready to compost, and with reverence or with fire. Your body, all right? This isn't just your meat suit. Your body is your effing oracle. It is your first line of defense and your energetic dashboard. She knows when you've crossed a boundary. She knows when you've betrayed yourself. She knows when you are giving from an empty tank. And your skin and your gut and your vagus nerve, they're all reading and responding to energy constantly. But if you're dissociated and you're numbing and you're bypassing, or you're caught in performance mode, you're flying blind. So sovereignty starts with getting back in the body, and all the way in, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. But let's take a moment right now, because if you're realizing that your energy field has been more open than your Wi-Fi signal, then you're not alone. Like, you're not fucked up and you're not broken, and you're just waking up to a truth that was never taught to you. But you know it and you feel it. You're sensitive, not weak. You're powerful, not dramatic. You're not failing. You're deprogramming. And that is a messy, magical process. And it's also where your sovereignty is born. You're not here to be a sponge. You're here to be a lighthouse. Like, you're not here to carry everybody else's energy. You're here to own your own fucking field. But your sovereignty is not something that you earn from being good. It is literally your birthright. This episode is brought to you in part by one of my most favorite humans on this spinning planet, Morgan Garza, and her book Soul Magic. If you've ever felt like your power was just waiting beneath the surface, or like there's something ancient and electric inside of you ready to be reclaimed, then this is the book that helps you remember. Soul Magic is not just a read, it is a summoning. It's filled with rituals and stories and the kind of grounded spiritual wisdom that doesn't talk at you, it talks with you. Morgan writes like a soul sister, a cosmic cheerleader, and a priestess all rolled into one. And it's a must-have for anyone on the path of awakening, reclaiming. So grab your copy at morgangarza.com or wherever books are sold, or bless someone else's journey and gift it, because real magic's meant to be shared. That's Soul Magic by Morgan Garza. You'll feel it in your bones. All right, awareness is cute, but embodiment is the real flex. Like, you can't just know that your field's a mess. You've actually got to clean it. And think of it as, like, I don't know, your energetic Swiffer routine. So no shame, no judgment, just some spiritual housekeeping to keep your soul from, I don't know, feeling like it's wading through molasses every single Monday morning. But let's be real. Energetic sovereignty isn't just a vibe. It is truly a practice. It's not something that you perform on Instagram with perfectly filtered smudge selfie and your crystal tucked into your boobs. Anybody else carry their crystals in their bra, or is that just me? It's not about how many candles you light or whether your altar matches your aesthetic. I mean, it's cute and it's great, and sparkle on, baby. I am here for it, but it is not sovereignty. Sovereignty is gritty and it is embodied, and sometimes it's sweaty and awkward and full of deep sighs and louder than you mean to grunts during breath work. It's the practice of choosing yourself over and over and over again, especially when it's hard, and especially when nobody's clapping. But let's start with the basics. So, energy hygiene. And it's not like an aura deodorant or anything like that. Although, seriously, if I could create that and put it in a bottle, oh my God, $1 million idea. I am talking about the daily non-negotiable maintenance of your energetic field. And it's basically the stuff that you do with the same consistency as like brushing your teeth or checking your phone 4,000 times a day or ordering that $7 latte that makes your tummy sad but your heart happy. Oh yeah, there's some people who feel seen right there. Because babe, your energy is alive. It is an ecosystem. It is electric and magnetic and emotional and spiritual and yeah, sensitively intelligent. And just like your body starts to get a crusty, cranky attitude without a little bit of upkeep, your energetic body gets dense and scattered and heavy when it's neglected. So if your vibes feel like you've been rolling around in a cosmic dumpster, chances are it's not because Mercury's in retrograde again. It's because you just skipped a soul shower. So, step 1. Grounding. And listen, like, grounding doesn't mean you have to like go out and frolic barefoot in a dewy meadow and sing Enya through the trees, although like truly if that's your kink, do you, boo. I am here for it. But grounding just means coming back into your body and back into the now and back into Earth's rhythm. Because the wild part is that science actually backs this up. So the Earth emits a frequency called the Schumann resonance, and it's around 7.83 hertz, something like that. It is basically the planet's heartbeat. And our human bodies sync up to that frequency when we connect physically with the Earth. So think bare feet on soil, hands in the garden, laying down in the grass like a toddler on a juice box crash. This connection literally recalibrates the nervous system, and it lowers inflammation, and it balances cortisol, and it boosts your mood, and best of all is that it is free. You've been walking on your own healing this entire stinking time. But next up is super simple as well, cleansing. Energy gets sticky. It's like psychic lint that just kind of clings to your field. But unless you're doing regular maintenance, you're probably lugging around some residual gunk of basically everybody that you've interacted with over the last 72 hours, plus whatever the algorithm threw at you. Cleansing is about psychic flossing, and it's not dramatic and it's not complicated. It's just necessary. So like salt baths, yeah. Science says Epsom salt helps with magnesium absorption, which your nervous system desperately needs, by the way. Sound therapy? Also yes. Your cells respond to vibration. So singing bowls and tuning forks and drumming and humming or belting out the sad girl anthems in the car, it is all vibrational recalibration. You're not being woo. You're being a frequency tech, and you can own it. And then here's my favorite. It's movement. So shake and stomp and dance it out like nobody's watching, especially if somebody's watching. Your lymphatic system and your fascia and your hormones, all of them respond to movement. Energy is, I always say, emotion is energy in motion. And when we don't move, it gets stuck. Motion creates emotion. One of my favorite lines. So that shoulder pain could be resentment. Maybe that jaw tension, it might be the unsaid thing that you have been choking on since last Tuesday. So move it and breathe it and get it out. You're not a container for other people's unprocessed crap. You are not a vault for your own suppressed rage, not unsuppressed. You're a living, pulsing organism. And movement's your maintenance. So the big one I want to talk about is containment, and it's also known as boundaries. I'm not talking about like Pinterest quote and peace sign boundaries. I'm talking about the ones that kind of feel scary to set, or the ones that require you to actually tell the truth about what it is that you need and what it is that you want and what it is that you're no longer going to tolerate. Energetic containment's about holding your own shape and your own truth and your own frequency, even when the room is loud, even when somebody is projecting, and even when your inner child is begging you to fawn and fix so you don't lose the love. And this is where the shit actually gets real, because most of us weren't taught to do this. Like, we were taught to be nice and to be good and to be agreeable and to be digestible. And every single time that we performed those roles, we leaked a little more of our light. But let's get into your body, because it knows when a boundary is needed. Like, you feel the contraction. You get that tight chest, or the sudden urge to disappear, or the jaw clench. Or maybe it's just an inward flinch when somebody asks for too much. Well, these are somatic whispers, maybe even screams. And your body is a sovereign map. But most of us were trained to ignore it, and to override it, and to call that wisdom overreacting or being sensitive. No, that's actually your compass. So then let's enter polyvagal theory, because if you haven't heard it yet, get cozy. It is the science of your nervous system, and it is everything when it comes to sovereignty. There's a guy by the name of Dr. Stephen Porges, and he mapped out how your vagus nerve is the main line between your body, your brain, and your sense of safety. So when you're regulated, you're open and grounded and connected. But when you're triggered, you're either fighting or fleeing, or you're frozen. And if your body has spent decades in survival mode, it is going to interpret boundaries as dangerous. And your no might feel like a betrayal, and your yes might be coded in fear. And it's not a mindset issue. It's a nervous system pattern, and it can be rewired with breath and co-regulation and safe connection and with time, and hopefully with a hell of a lot of compassion. But we've talked about all this. Let's just add another layer, which is psychic hygiene. And yeah, you have it. You're intuitive, you're empathic, your field picks up on more than you consciously realize. That weird vibe in a grocery store, or that energetic hangover after a phone call, or maybe it's a sudden sadness you can't explain. You're not making any of this up. You're just reading the field. And energy hygiene teaches you to discern. So what's yours and what's not, and then how to tell the difference. Because the difference between intuition and trauma is subtle, but it is everything. And if you don't clear your field regularly, your gut feeling might actually be your fear talking in a clever disguise. And discernment is the muscle that separates sacred guidance from old patterning. It's not about being right. It's just about being resonant. And that right there, that one thing, is sovereignty in action. But let's make something clear. Sovereignty isn't isolation. Like, you're not meant to walk this path alone. We are wired for connection, and we thrive in community. But the difference is that you get to choose your connections now. You don't leak to be liked, and you don't merge to be accepted, and you don't offer your magic like it's a free sample. Like, you're not for everybody, and thank goodness for that. Like, you ever notice how energetically sovereign people feel different? Like, they're grounded and they're clear, and you trust their no. You relax into their yes. And their presence calms your chaos. And it's not because they're perfect, it's just because they're congruent and coherent. And coherence is literally magnetic. But let's go quantum again, shall we? In physics, coherence means that all waves are in harmony. So they're aligned and they're amplifying each other. So coherent light becomes a laser, and coherent sound becomes resonance. And when your energy is coherent, you become a fucking lighthouse, like laser beam focus, an aligned manifestation, that clear signal, no static. Like, you stop casting spells from confusion and you start transmitting truth. And then just one final piece on this topic. We're going to talk about cords. And energetic cords are real. That's invisible threads of connection, some loving, some heavy as all get out. Like, you can be energetically corded to an ex or a parent or a boss or a childhood memory or even a social media troll who got under your skin. And the cords aren't always bad, but when they carry obligation or guilt or pain, they start draining you. And you know it's time to cut a cord when somebody's energy is living rent-free in your head or in your gut or in your dreams. And cutting it doesn't mean hate. It just means reclamation. And all you have to do is do it with ritual or intention or with breath or your voice. You can whisper or you can scream. You can say, I release you, I release me, I call my energy back, I close the loop, and something will shift however you do it. The tether will loosen, and your spine will straighten, and your field will begin to recalibrate. Energy hygiene isn't a luxury. It is quite simply your spiritual immune system. And you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be clear. And you don't have to be high vibe all the time. You just have to be yours. Because when your field is your own, your life responds, and your body heals, and your clarity sharpens, and your power starts landing instead of leaking. Let's get brutally honest for a second. Energetic sovereignty isn't just some solo vibe practice that you do on some Himalayan salt cushion and in between client calls and lighting a candle. It's relational. Your energy doesn't exist in a vacuum. Every single day, you are in constant energetic conversation with people and places and systems and beliefs and social feeds and ancestral memory and a dozen past versions of yourself, all just still hanging out in your subconscious like uninvited party guests. And in order for any of those energetic interactions to be healthy, aligned, and sacred, there is one thing that needs to be at the center of it all, and that's consent. And let me just say it louder and slower for the spiritual section in the back. Energetic consent is everything. And just like in the physical world, your field is not a free-for-all. Like, no one, not your ex, not your mom, not your boss, not the random Reiki practitioner, and it's definitely not your childhood trauma. No one gets to walk into your field without your explicit permission. And here's the kicker. Most of us have been walking around with the doors wide open, wondering why we feel like crap. So energetic consent isn't just about who touches you or who speaks to you. It's about who gets access to your attention or your nervous system or your mental space. So when someone trauma dumps on you without checking in, that's an energetic breach. Or when your friend texts you 12 paragraphs of emotional crisis at midnight with no warning, also a breach. Or when your phone lights up every 10 minutes with notifications demanding your focus. Breach, 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 man. When you override your gut to keep the peace or stay likable or not rock the boat, like you are breaching your own consent. And let's not sugarcoat it. Like, it gets especially gnarly for those of us socialized to be nice and nurturing and endlessly available. Like women or femme or caregiver or intuitive, we're taught that being accessible is loving, and that if somebody needs something, we must give. That if we're spiritual, we should always be open and always be of service and always be on. But that's not what we need to do. Like, no, hard no, not anymore. Your intuition isn't a hotline. Your energy isn't a buffet. Like, your soul isn't a vending machine where people get to press a button and extract your light. Not all healers are safe. Not all psychics are clean. Not all spiritual leaders are sovereign. And just because somebody knows how to talk the talk doesn't mean that their energy is aligned with integrity. In fact, some of the biggest energy violations happen in spiritual spaces precisely because people have been conditioned to hand over their power in the name of healing. So, just again for good measure, just because somebody speaks the language of light does not mean that they have your best interest at heart. So, energetic sovereignty means that you don't hand over your truth just because somebody sounds evolved. And you don't ignore your body's no just because they have a title. And you don't dismiss your gut feeling just because they pulled a tarot card or channeled some Pleiadian sounding nonsense. And if the frequency feels off, by the way, trust that always. And this goes double when you're going deep into healing work. Because when you're cracked open and when your nervous system is raw and your memories are surfacing and that inner child is front and center, you are energetically vulnerable. And that's sacred. And it needs reverence, not exposure and not performance. And definitely not somebody else projecting their unprocessed stuff into your pain. Energetic sovereignty means that you set the terms and you decide what gets in and what stays and what goes and who you share your energy with and who doesn't get that privilege anymore. But let's go deeper, because we're not just talking about people. We're also talking about systems here. Energetic power dynamics exist in your relationship with capitalism and patriarchy and religion and social media and even your own daggum past. Like, think of all the ways that your energy gets siphoned every single day by comparison or perfectionism or doom scrolling or urgency or self-abandonment. So every time that you obsess over somebody else's opinion or replay a painful interaction or try to fix how you're perceived, you're leaking energy into timelines that just don't deserve your frequency. And this is where a power retrieval comes in. So calling your energy back isn't just a poetic metaphor. It is actually a frequency reset. It is the act of collapsing the open tabs in your field. It's telling your system that we are no longer feeding that loop. We are no longer subscribing to that story, and we're no longer giving free rent to ghosts. And you don't need a massive ritual to do it. I mean, I love a good fireball moment, but you just need intention. And you can whisper it, or you can yell it, or you can sing it. But all you have to say is, I call my energy back to me. I revoke access. I clear distortion, and I choose presence. And something will shift. You'll feel less shaky and less reactive, less hooked into other people's storms. You'll realize that you're no longer shrinking in conversation, and you stop spiraling over old texts, and you stop dreaming about people who aren't a part of your presence. And that's not magic, it's reclamation. And it also applies to ancestral dynamics, because let's be honest, many of us weren't raised in lineages where consent was even a concept. Like, boundaries were not taught. Intuition wasn't trusted. And speaking your truth often got you punished or shamed or silenced. And you learned that being good meant being available, or being small, or being compliant. And sovereignty is what breaks that contract. When you reclaim your frequency, you don't just do it for you, you do it for them. Like you're saying to your ancestors, I honor your survival by choosing something different. And then you model a new pattern. You become the living permission slip. Like you alchemize inherited trauma into embodied truth. And then you stop the extraction cycle that says your body, your time, your intuition, and your daggum existence belongs to everybody except for you. But let's just swing this around to the algorithmic monster that we all have a relationship with, and that's social media. And you already know the deal. Your nervous system was not built for this level of input. Every single scroll is an energy exchange. Every story, every reel, every panic headline, or they're all just little micro breaches. And when you're consuming more than you're creating or more than you're embodying, you start basically outsourcing your frequency to the feed. And then it starts to feel like you're living in somebody else's simulation. And sovereignty doesn't mean you delete your apps and you go live in a yurt unless you want to. It means that you start noticing. Like, when does your energy spike? When does it drop? When does your chest tighten or your eyes glaze or your self-trust waver? That's all data. And that's your field telling you what enhances and then what drains. And the same thing goes for hustle culture. Capitalism is an extraction machine. You are taught to measure your worth by your output, to sacrifice your body for a paycheck, and to see rest as laziness, and grind until your nervous system breaks. And when your body finally taps out, you blame yourself. Like, no. Absolutely not. Hard fucking stop. No. Your system is cyclical. It's rhythmic. It needs flow, not force. It needs breath, not burnout. Your frequency cannot stay coherent in a system that demands disconnection. So reclaiming your power means unsubscribing from the cult of exhaustion. It means redefining success in terms of wholeness over hustle. And so how do you navigate all this without spiraling into hypervigilance or locking down your energy tighter than a vault? It's just discernment and devotion. Discernment is your compass. It's not about paranoia. It's just about presence. It's trusting the chills on your skin more than the credentials in somebody's bio. It's noticing how something lands in your gut, not how it looks on paper. It's remembering that your no is holy, and your right now is sacred, and your hell yes only counts when it comes from coherence, not from coercion. Devotion's your anchor. It's what you return to when everything else gets loud. It's your rituals and your body and your breath and your truth and how you hold yourself sacred even when nobody else is watching. And devotion's what reminds you that your frequency is not a trend. It's your transmission. And you get into shape every frickin' day. You don't own anyone access to your frequency. Not everybody gets to read your field. And not everybody gets to know your heart. And not everybody deserves your inner altar. And that doesn't make you closed off, by the way. It just makes you sovereign. Because when your energy is no longer scattered across timelines and people and projections and performance, you stop chasing alignment and you start embodying it. This episode is supported in part by Sage App, aka the app that's basically a metaphysical multivitamin. It's like having a spiritual sanctuary in your pocket minus the incense smoke in your purse. It's also where I host my new moon manifestation clubs, which, if you know, you know, we go deep. So if you're ready to stop doom scrolling and start soul scrolling, download Sage in the App Store or Google Play and then step into a more intentional, magical version of your day. That's SAGED, like Sage, but with an app. Back to the episode. What does life actually feel like when you're living in your sovereign frequency? Let me be clear. It's not some sparkly fantasy timeline reserved for people who meditate 6 hours a day and have like perfectly feng shuied homes and glowing skin and all that other bullshit. It's not a Pinterest board of enlightenment. It is cellular and felt and lived reality, and it's available to you. Like right now. Not in some future version of yourself that has it figured out. Like literally right now. You don't have to wait until your trauma is fully healed or your manifestation board is complete. The sovereign timeline begins the moment that you stop leaking your life force and start owning your field. But let's start with a vibe shift, because there's a frequency and a texture and a tone to sovereignty, and it's unmistakable. It's a quiet confidence or a deep presence. It's the kind of inner stillness that doesn't have to announce itself. It's like walking into a room and not scanning for approval. It's trusting your gut without asking for a second opinion. And it's that knowing in your bones, like, I'm not available for anything that dishonors my nervous system. And it doesn't mean that you never get triggered. It just means that when you do, you don't abandon yourself. You return faster and cleaner and more lovingly. There is no shame in the spiral. Like, there's no martyr complex, just breath and truth and the next step. So on the sovereign timeline, your energy isn't just scattered like confetti, it is focused. You're not pulled into 1,000 directions, and you're not trying to be all things to all people. Like, you know your yes. You mean your no. And you move from clarity and not people pleasing, and you no longer hustle for that validation. Like, you don't ask for permission to be who you already are. You speak when it's true, and you rest when it's time, and you stop chasing the shit that was never yours. But let's get a little scientific here, because you know I love those receipts. You are grounded in sovereignty. Your nervous system enters a state of regulation. So cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. Oxytocin, which is your connection hormone, rises. And your brain shifts from survival to executive functioning. And that's just fancy language for you can finally fucking think clearly. You're not scanning for a threat. You're listening inward. Like, you're not overreacting, you're resonating. And in the quantum field, that is where it gets electric. When you stop leaking the energy into old timelines, so past regrets or future anxieties or ancestral patterns, you start to consolidate your frequency in the now. And by the way, the now is the only place where creation happens. You're not manifesting from desperation. You're manifesting from congruence, from clarity, and from wholeness. So you're not shooting mixed signals off into the field. You are broadcasting, this is who I am. Like, this is what I allow. And this is the frequency that I live in. And guess what? The universe responds, and that fucker responds fast. Like, your relationships start shifting. You stop being attracted to chaos. You stop bonding through shared wounds, and you start craving resonance over rescue. You want partners and friends and clients to meet you where you are and not drag you into their chaos or require you to be their therapist or whatever. Like, you don't need somebody to fix you. You don't want somebody to complete you. You want people to witness you. You want the ones who see your full spectrum and say, yeah, I got you. And if they can't, that's okay. You bless it, you release it, and you don't spiral. Because being sovereign doesn't beg. We don't perform. We don't audition. We embody. But let's just talk purpose and business, because this is where it gets juicy. So when you're sovereign, your creativity doesn't come from pressure. It comes from overflow. Like, you don't create content to stay visible. You create it because your soul is bursting to speak. And you don't launch offers from scarcity. You birth them from alignment. And you don't do the right thing because it's trending. You just follow what lights your body up. And the crazy part is this is when they start flocking to you. Not because you're doing some magical launch strategy, but because your frequency is clear. It is coherent and magnetic. Like, you're not saying, please choose me. You're saying, I already choose me. And guess what? Here is also what I'm building. And people feel that. And it's also where your relationship with your body transforms. Like, you stop seeing her as a problem to fix, but I don't know, or a project to improve, or trying to like transcend or silence or beat into submission with like green juice and hustle. You actually start listening and honoring and trusting, and your body becomes your oracle, and you feel truth in your skin, and you know what's aligned in your gut, and you trust your pace and your cycle and your fucking rhythm. And your body stops being a battlefield and becomes your home. And that, like, all of that is the foundation of all manifestation. You're the altar. You're the living prayer. You're the embodiment of hope that your ancestors couldn't speak. There's also mourning in the reclamation, but treat it as holy and treat it as sacred and let it come home. It's not like, don't hold grief like it's the end of the story. You are changing as a person, but you know what it is? You're just becoming more authentic to who you really are. So once the grief clears for all that you may have lost or whatnot, joy moves in. And it's not like the giddy Instagram smile kind, it's the cellular kind, that deep knowing or that belly laugh feeling. It's the way your chest expands when you're around people who actually see you. Or the sense that life is no longer something that you survive, it's actually something that you co-create. You become the frequency that you were chasing. Like, you are the transmission. You call your energy back. You choose your field. You speak your truth. You honor your no, and you live your fucking yes. And guess what? Maybe you also protect your peace like it is the sacred treasure that it actually is. Sovereignty isn't something that anybody can give you. It's not earned through perfection or productivity. It's just yours, and it always has been. And now it's time to embody it. Like, the world doesn't need more good spiritual people. It just needs more sovereign souls. So go let the world feel your soul. If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a glowing review. It helps more beautiful souls like you find this space. Because your words matter, your energy ripples, and every review is like a little spell of support for the Synaptic Soul mission. So until next time, stay curious, stay cosmic, and keep waking the F up.